Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 90. Sol Standard Date 4th of the 2nd, 3267. Basilisk knew what he had to do. He was the 117th full conversion cyborg ever built. He was also the very last alive. He was the only one who could 100% safely operate in the vacuum of space. So he went down to the mag AC cannon and readied himself to be fired at his wall. The soldier who was there to operate the mag AC cannon in case of emergency put out his hand to stop the Emperor before he could get in the cannon. Just a moment, sir. I still need to program the nanites to create a special plaque for you, he said. Basilisk cocked an eyebrow. What do you mean? It's not as though I'm going to die, he said. Then the soldier smiled as the nanites began their work. Imperial Yeet Cannon, for use by Emperor Basilisk only. Any other persons attempting to yeet in the Emperor's stead will be shot. Basilisk had to try his best not to laugh. He opted to just quickly jump into the loading chamber before anyone could catch a glimpse of him laughing at a 1200-year-old joke. As he laid down in the chamber, the soldier handed him another plaque. Basilisk looked at it and busted up laughing before the chamber had shut. The soldier just put a cigar in his mouth, lit it, and saluted, before hitting the trigger and saying out loud what was written on the plaque he gave Basilisk. For a brick, he flew pretty good. Sergeant Johnson. Basilisk was flying through the expanse of space towards his magical wall at 30,000 miles per hour. He was going pretty slow in terms of space. The wall was rather nearby though, so it would only take him about 15 minutes to reach the wall. Tama was shaken. He had thought that leaders taking on armies was a thing of the past for most races, yet here he was seeing why the Terrans admired the Emperor so. He had actually opted to be shot into space so that he could take the fight to those monstrosities. Even Tama himself was beginning to admire the man. As a fellow war hero turned politician, he could understand how the Emperor seemed to be uncomfortable in this sort of atmosphere, where he was essentially worshipped. Sliv had observed the Emperor quietly. He was trying to figure out if the Emperor was actually evil and just trying to trick them. Yet so far it seemed like the Emperor was just a more godlike version of Tama. For all Sliv could pretend that this Emperor was nothing more than another conniving bureaucrat. He had just witnessed the Emperor shoot himself out of a cannon into space, so as to meet the enemy head-on, without hindrances. Sliv decided that he wouldn't need to protect Tama from this man after all. Alania had woken up on a ship that made no sense to her in regards to scale. She felt that it was at least the size of a moon based on the shadow she could see being cast upon the other ships around. Damn, that was a lot of ships. If the Council were to attack the Terrans, the battle wouldn't last half a second. Then there's the fact that the leader of the Terrans was the magic-wielding death giant that had come for them through the rift. It was all just too much for her. But she wanted to be with Tama regardless, so she needed to put on a brave face. Saren had taken her sitting in the lap of one of the bridge crew while they massaged him, so he was just content to sleep. Basilisk had almost made it to the wall. He was trying to keep up the wall, however, so he would need to start the chants a little early, and hope he didn't make an impact in the middle of a chant. Hegfed Maleficus, Dentam Riftus, Vanel Sorendimos, Malkana Harfolvorma. As he finished the chant, he impacted into his wall with a resounding thud. The impact didn't faze the man who was made of eldritch metals. He thrust his hand forth into the wall, opening a hole big enough for him to see through, as he opened his unshielded rift. Basilisk gasped, as he saw how near the warlords had gotten while he was dinking around in space. They would be on him within a minute. He finished the rift, and opened his connection to the Veil. The power leaking out filled him to the brim with an eldritch power. Basilisk let the runes be carved into his very body, as he started weaving the next spell. Ossia Velt Hector Caltor Demos Wagato! Basilisk glowed, as a pale green fire enveloped his whole body. Within the fires, the runes from each word said was carved upon his metal body, increasing the power of the spell. Once the last rune was inlaid into his fiery form, space erupted into a tidal wave of pale flames that swept over the incoming warlords, stopping them in their tracks and singeing them beyond what would normally be repairable. The priest was almost out of range of the attack, but was still singed across the front of his body. The priest would take time to heal, allowing the glory to the Emperor the necessary time to charge. Basilisk knew that the capital ships would be done charging their C-plus cannons, so he could bring down the wall for a moment to allow for the shots to take out one of the remaining warlords. The only issue with that would be if the priest decided to take on an offensive stance instead of healing. He knew that he couldn't risk the lives of his people just to make the load on himself easier. He was quickly running out of options, as the priest was hitting not only itself, but the two warlords already. Basilisk contacted Aurelius. Aurelius, new plan. I am going to turn the wall into pure veil. Fire that stupid Nova cannon at half power into the wall. You have exactly 10 minutes, he yelled. Basilisk looked back at the warlords. Only about 5 minutes of healing, if not less. I will have to hold them back with more spells, but it takes damn near 5 minutes to recharge after I drop to 0 like that. Doesn't help that I'm still actively holding a wall capable of withstanding a priest. Fuck, he thought. Basilisk managed to recharge enough power to power up his wall and extend it towards the warlords. His goal was to buy time. All he needed to do was push them back and hold them while they couldn't get up to speed. Fast squids, but low acceleration. Just push, go back, push, go back. This lasted a full 5.5 minutes before Aurelius contacted him. My lord, the Nova cannon is ready. I will wait for you to remove yourself from the field of battle before I fire, he said. No! You will fire that fucking cannon right now, Aurelius. I will move into my rift just before that thing hits. I have to have a connection to that reality to keep my wall active. My wall is what makes this Nova cannon strong enough to win, he said. Aurelius gritted his teeth and hit the firing switch on the half-power Nova. The cannon emitted a blinding light as the wall before them turned into a pure green, ethereal substance. The warlord's tentacles shoved through the now fragile wall of power as it let out a roar of triumph that was extremely short-lived. The two warlords were annihilated in the blink of an eye as the Nova hit the veil and exploded into a new pale green nebula of veil fire. Basilisk had closed the rift just in time. He was safe for the time being, yet he had a sense of dread as he felt a presence behind him. Oh, John, whatever shall I do with you? You killed 5 of my precious warlords, though the priest did manage an escape, he said. Basilisk turned around slowly. His body was being enveloped in black flames of pure hatred as he turned to see. Male, you really do want to get beaten half to death again, don't you? He said. Male smiled the most malicious smile with his wide-fanged maw. Why, no. I actually do not want a repeat of your escape from the Veil. After all, you may be strong in here where you have infinite Veil to power your magics. Out there, in your reality, you are but a man. A mortal. No. Why would I attempt to keep you here again? He said. Basilisk narrowed his blackened eyes. What do you want then, foul creature? He asked. Male smiled even wider and lashed a tentacle at the ground, creating a fissure in the veil. I saw that you met some new friends. I was wondering if I should pay the little creatures a visit. I just wanted to let you know that you don't have much more time before I make up my mind. He said, before the space around Male rippled and he disappeared. Basilisk tried to grab out of Mel, but he had already left this current time and space. No! You will not touch my new fucking friends! Fuck! He yelled, as the black fires of hatred scorched even the veil around him.